Hi folks, welcome back to the Horde. It's about 1:45 May 14th, Tuesday, 55 degrees. Beautiful day here in the Hudson Valley. I like weather about this temperature. I like the sunshine. And you can see the good news is my solar cells are charged. Well, some people buy a basket case bike. Peppercat Keith, if you take a look at his channel, he bought a Polaris bike that he's putting together. As a matter of fact, he got his started and it's running. I haven't seen the last video to see if he's put it in gear and taken it for a spin yet to see what else he's got going on there. But he picked up a $200 Polaris 400 two-wheel drive, two-stroke. So 400 cc's a two-stroke. That's going to be quite a bit of bike, especially he's just renewing the engine, so that thing's going to run like a bat out of hell. He should have a lot of fun with it. But anyway, he's putting it together, and I sent a couple instant messages to him saying, you know, I always get a little nervous when I see basket case bikes because when I get involved in them, I have a tendency to get bit. And you know, he's kind of chuckling and indicated that he got it running. Well, to my basket case bike now. I bought this bike. I knew it had a wiring problem. I knew it had a wire harness problem. I knew it was missing a CDI unit. But supposedly that was all that was wrong with it. I told you guys when I started to poke around here that I started to get a little nervous when I was looking at the case and seeing, you know, the Red Death. You know, didn't like seeing that. Then I looked at the CDI unit and for the stator, and I started seeing this kind of stuff. How's that for bad luck? Let me give you a hint. You see the way these guys are all garled up in here? They're not supposed to look like that. They're not supposed to look anything like that. Let me give you a second hint. See the flywheel? This kind of crap on the inside of the flywheel? It's not supposed to look anything like that. My guess is when they put this rig together, they left this loose, left this guy loose, or left the flywheel loose. The flywheel came loose and chewed things up. And then, yeah, I mean this. I mean, look at that. That's supposed to be like glass in here. I mean, one could put it together on this flywheel again, and it might be okay. Or you might put the whole thing together. I mean, look at this. This is supposed to be flat. So, my guess is once again a bolt or something got loose in here. Obviously, I'm into this motor. I'm gonna figure out what I'm doing for a flywheel. Yeah, I gotta think about this. I'm in this bike a ways now, right? 300 for the bike. Let's say going to get it was a fun road trip, so I won't bill out on that. But even if I don't bill out on the fun road trip, I got over $100 in here, which takes me to 4 and change, and now I got to throw a flywheel at it. Well, throwing a flywheel at it means tearing apart another engine, and I really like keeping the engines intact. I mean, I could theoretically pull the side off this engine. This is the same thing. I can once again tear this guy apart. Though this guy I think has a square box. Yeah, this has the two-piece square box CDI. So it is a little different year. Wow, this hurts. This hurts. You know, when I looked the bike over, you make assumptions. I made an assumption that somebody hacked up the wiring harness and really didn't know what they were up to. And then I've had these where the stator's gone before. So I went two assumptions. Said, oh, it's the stator. And I bought a stator before I opened it up. Now, I never would have thought somebody'd let a bolt get loose in there and chew this whole thing up like this. This really, that hurts. Yeah, that hurts. Yeah, I think, my guess is a bolt got in there and did this. I mean, that's a guess. I don't know that, but to actually, and this thing was spinning too. I mean, it just, well, actually the electric starter's pretty strong. It would do that. It's strong enough to do that. Ow, this hurts. Shoot. So, if you pretend on the average, half the time you do good, half the time you get burnt. Peppercat Keith, you got the better half. I got the short end. Well, no matter what, I've decided I'm going to make this bike run. There's a lot of kids out there, younger folk, or even even folks that aren't young who have limited resources. And for somebody like that, this could be a tragedy. The $300 to buy the bike might have been a deep reach in one's pocket. And then if you go the next step of, oh shoot, I got to put $100 worth of stator into it, they swallow hard, and okay, I got $400 into the bike, no big deal. But now I got to go fishing out on eBay for a flywheel for it. My guess is that's $50 to $100. So that's an annoyance. A second annoyance is now I got my shop kind of tied up because I don't want to put this back together again without putting a flywheel into it. I'm also, to be honest, I'm nervous that when I open it up, it might have a broken keyway. It might have damage to the engine shaft. This engine does have compression, but that doesn't necessarily mean that just means the piston and valves are all going up and down in the proper time. It does not mean that everything else isn't all screwed up in there. Well, I guess I got to sort this out, and it's probably going to take me a little while. I was hoping to do this whole mess in 2 or 3 nice, neat videos of you take it apart, you replace the parts, you put it together, you fire it up, look at me. But I guess what I'm teaching you guys is you got to pay attention when you find the basket case. Indications were there. I knew it had a wiring problem. I knew it had a CDI problem, and I should have thought a little bit more about. By the way, why were they in the same side of the case as the stator is? Why were they in there, and this thing still has issues? I should have thought about that a little bit more before, But on the flip side of it, I danced with the guy pretty hard, and he wasn't going below 300 on this bike. So if I wanted to take this bike home, this is the way I was going to take it home. I wasn't going to get it any cheaper. So knowing what I know now, would I have paid $300 for the bike? That's a hard question. That's a really, really hard question. I got a rear end. At the time, it had the back tires were runnable after running this one over with the backhoe loader and splitting it open like an overripe watermelon. It's not so, but that's my fault. It's not the bike's fault. So I don't know. What would I get out of it? I'd get a rear end, a pair of tires. The carb appears to be there, though the choke cable here is missing, and the little guy that goes in there is missing, the choke plunger. So that needs some love and attention. So I don't know if the carburetor could be salvaged without the choke plunger. I don't know, what's it worth? $30. So 30. The rear end's worth a couple of hundred. $230. I mean, it came with a seat cover and a tube. I guess before I put any extra money into this thing, it was probably worth the $300. Now that I'm getting where I'm getting, I'm beginning to wonder. Big Red, no plastic. I mean, maybe I'll hack a front fender on it from one of the other guys. Maybe I'll screw around with the plastic from one of the other guys to put it on the back. But a Big Red with the wrong plastic on it, what's she worth? $650 if I do a nice job with the plastic. I don't know. It's this bike. I'm gonna have every cent that it's worth into it. All right, folks. Live, love, and have a great time. I think I'm to the point where I need to go for a ride on one of the other bikes that I have fixed so far, and move forward like that. Okay. Live, love, great time. We'll catch you on the next episode of The Horde. In the meantime, make sure you look your projects over well. I probably should have broken into this thing before I bought that Stator. That I probably should have done. My bad. My fault. Okay, catch you on the next episode of The Horde. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And most of all, thanks for commenting.